This conference will now be recorded.
So in today's session, we are going to discuss about Lightning Data Services, which is also called as LDS. So what exactly the Lightning Data Services and what is the use? Why should we go for Lightning Data Services in Salesforce Lightning components, especially it may be ARA, it may be Lightning Web Components, and what are the various components are available as part of this Lightning Data Services? We'll see practically as part of this. Now, so first of all, we have to understand what exactly Lightning Data Services. Generally, data means what? Records. Data means records. Now, so what we can do on the records? Generally, we can able to insert a record inside the object. We can view the records. That means we can get the records, and we can edit the record also. We can delete the record. These are the various operations we can do. Like we can insert some records, we can update some records, we can delete the records, we can view the records, we can perform the operations. Now, generally, if it is a Visual Force, how to do this? By using some SQL queries. If you want to fetch some records, then we can use some SQL query. Through SQL query, we can get the record and we can view. And we can insert the record through DML statement, like insert statement. We can update the record through DML statement. We can delete the record through DML statement. That means we have to use the help of Apex programming. That means server-side controllers. But when coming to the Lightning Web Components or Lightning ARA components also, whenever if you want to perform these operations, it may be to get the records, to insert the records, to update the records, to delete the records, then we can use the help of Lightning Data Services, which doesn't allows you to use SQL queries and Apex controllers. That means without using the help of SQL queries and the DML operations and without using Apex controller classes, directly we can do with the help of Lightning Data Services. So Lightning Data Services will allow you to interact with your Salesforce data. That means with your Salesforce objects. So we can interact with your Salesforce objects by using LDS without using any Apex programming. Then just with the help of JavaScript controllers itself, we can interact with your Salesforce objects also, and we can perform the operations. Why? If I'm using some Apex controller, that will be server side. So at the server side, it will be available. So we have to send a request to server to execute it. But now, without interacting with that Salesforce server, we can able to interact with your Salesforce objects directly from JavaScript by using Lightning Web Components or Lightning ARA components as well. So whenever if you want to interact with your Salesforce objects to perform the various DML operations, to get the records, to insert the records, to view the records, to update, to delete, without using any Apex classes, without using any DML statements, we can use the help of Lightning Data Services. So when coming to the Lightning Data Service will be having some benefits. What are those? We no need to write any Apex classes. So in order to interact with these Salesforce objects, we no need to write any Apex class. And then we no need to write any SQL queries. No need to write any SQL queries to get the records from the object. Now, why? Because whenever if you want to update the record, first of all, we have to query. Then only we can update. If you want to delete, first of all, we have to query. Then only we can delete. So we no need to write any SQL queries. We no need to use any DML statements. No need to use any Apex classes to interact with these objects directly. Just with the help of the ready-made components, we can interact with your Salesforce objects also. And the two, when coming to the Lightning Data Service, Lightning Data Service is providing some more benefits also. For example, assume that I'm having a page. In this page, for example, we have three components are available here. This is one component. This is another component. This is another component. Three different components are available here on a single page. Now, in these particular components, I'm showing the same data. Like, for example, I'm representing one account record here. For example, name is, okay, I'm displaying the same record. Name, some RAM. Here also the same record I'm displaying over here. So it will be having the name, some RAM. Now, let me explain properly. Let me design on the page. Now, for example, I'm having a page. This is a page. In this page, I'm having these components. Assume that this is one component here. And this is another component. And here I have one more component. Okay, here one more component. So now in these three components, I'm showing the same records. That means in different ways, I'm representing the data. Name, some RAM. Here also, I'm having the same component over here. So the same record I'm displaying over here. Here also RAM. And here also it is representing the data over here, RAM. Name RAM. Here I'm representing these values here, like rating, like some hot. Here I'm showing this value, rating, some hot. Here I'm showing rating, some hot. That means the record is same, but the way of representation is different. Here I'm representing the data like this here. And then here I'm representing the data side by side. Here I'm representing data in the middle. Okay, and then I'm indicating one by one. Now here this is the left alignment, this is the center alignment, and this will be with the two columns here. Now, whenever we are using Lightning Data Services, through this Lightning Data Service, if you are updating the record in one place, suppose for example, here I'm updating the record over here. I would like to change this name from Ram to Ram Kumar. Ram to Ram Kumar. In this case, what this Lightning Data Service will do is, internally it will pass the notifications to all the other components available at the page. Boss, so now here the value has been changed for the name field. So this is the new value. So please reflect this new value over here. So whenever you are updating the value in this component, then this component will internally sending some notification to other components on the page, so that all the components will be having that same data over here. That means same values. That means changes of value in one component will be reflecting in all the other components automatically by default. This is one of the major benefits here. Now, if I'm changing the value in this particular component 3, okay, with the name field, then automatically this will be reflecting in component 1 also, and in the component 2 also. In all the places, whatever the other components are available in that page, what are the other places where you are using this feature, all the places this will be getting reflected. This is one of the major benefits. Generally in Visual Force, it can't do, it won't happen here. We have to do it manually. Okay, we have to do it manually. Until or unless you are not refreshing this component, okay, it won't reflect the latest data here. That is the problem when coming to that Visual Force. But here, as part of Lightning Web Components, it will be sending this offline notification to all the people over here. That means all the components, so that they can able to reflect that same information. Now, by using this Lightning data services, we can able to perform all the CRUD operations. CRUD operations means create, read, update, and the delete. So all the operations we can do. So we can perform all the CRUD operations. That means create, that means insert, read, that means we can get it, and then update, and delete. We can perform all these CRUD operations on your object records, okay, with the help of this Lightning data service without using any DML statements. And that too, sometimes you can raise a question. Suppose, for example, I'm fetching the data from an object here by using this read. Upon fetching the data from the object here, I'm fetching the record values. In that record, we have 10 fields are available. For example, from those 10 fields, on 2 fields, I don't have the access. That means inside my profile level, I don't have that access for those 2 fields. So in this case, whenever we are fetching the data through Lightning data service, Lightning data service is going to be verifying. It is going to be verifying the field level security also. Field level security also, it will check automatically here. So all the features are available inbuilt. All the features are available. So upon fetching the data from that particular object, from those object, you will be having so many fields may be there. But inside your profile, you may be having the access on all the fields, or you may not having the access on the some specific fields. At that time, whatever the fields are available inside that object, from those on what fields you have the access in your profile, only those fields will be getting visible to you. That facility is available. So Lightning data service will be verifying the field level security also over here. These are few major benefits are available when coming to that Lightning data service. So Lightning data service will allows you to interact with your Salesforce objects, okay, without writing any Apex programming code, without using any SQL queries, without using any DML statements. That is a benefit here. Now, generally, when you go to our Visual Force, in the Visual Force, I have discussed about a feature called as standard controllers. Okay, standard controllers. That means instead of writing the business logic by my own, directly we can use some ready-made business logics given by Salesforce. We can use standard controllers, standard methods like as save method, quick save method, cancel method, delete method, first method, next method, previous, last, has previous, has next. These are some 10 methods are available ready-made, right? Like the similar way here also we can able to use these ready-made methods as well. So without using any custom business logics, without using any server-side controllers, just with the help of the JavaScript itself, we can able to perform some DML operations on your Salesforce object records without using any SQL queries and Apex controllers. That means we are avoiding the server-side control so that we can reduce number of server trips, so that we can reduce the burden on the Salesforce server, and then we can make our application performance improved. So that these are few major benefits that we have as part of these Lightning data services. Now, let me give that notepad here. Now, Lightning data services allows us to interact with the Salesforce objects without using Apex controllers. That is, by using JavaScript, we can interact with the Salesforce objects, and we can perform all the DML operations on the object records. It may be standard, It may be custom. Any object might be. The object might be either standard or custom also. Now, I'm indicating the benefits. The benefits is we no need to write any SQL queries. We no need to write any Apex classes. Now, no need to write any Apex classes. So if the Apex classes are not required, that means here we no need to use any Apex controllers. Apex is what? Server side. So we are not writing any Apex classes. So we no need to invoke any server side controller. So we no need to make any request to server. So number of server trips has been reduced. If the number of server trips has been reduced, then application performance will get improved automatically. Next. No need to write the SQL queries to fetch the records. No need to write the SQL queries to fetch the records. We can perform CRUD operations on the Salesforce objects. Insert, update, delete, view. That means get. We can perform all these operations. Lightning Data Services will take care of field level security. Field level security while performing the CRUD operations. While performing the CRUD operations, it will check that field level security also. Next. While updating the value in a single place, that means in one place, will get reflected. Will get reflected in all other places of the page. That is, it will re-render. It will re-render the data. All the other places inside the page. Now, it avoids the server calls. Hence, we can improve the application performance. We can improve the application performance. These are few benefits are available upon using Lightning Data Services. Now, then how can we use this Lightning Data Services whenever we are going to be interacting with your Salesforce objects? How can we interact here? Now, when coming to the Lightning Data Services, how it will be working over here? Okay, how it will be working? Now, let me explain that, and then I will give you some more benefits also. Let me explain. Now, for example, I'm having my application. For my application, I'm having two components, that means client side, server side. Both are available here. Okay, I'm having client side, server side. Two places are available. These are the two parts are available as part of my application. So we have client side. Client side means what? Browser. Client side means the browser side. Server side means Salesforce server. Okay, these are the two places are available. Now, so now observe this one in this case. So now this is my server. And this is the client. That means the browser. We have client, we have server. Now, as part of server, we are having database. The database is available at the server side. We have this database. That means all the Salesforce objects and records will be available in this place over here. Now, database. That means objects, the records, all the information is available inside this database. Okay, now. So now I'm having a Lightning Web Component, which is available in my client side. So this is my Lightning Web Component that we have. Now, so this is my Lightning Web Component. Then how it is going to be interacting over here? So now, how this Lightning Web Component is interacting with your database objects. For that one, previously what happened, we are using a JavaScript. Through JavaScript, here we are preparing some Apex classes here. Okay, now let's see. I will explain that old architecture and the new architecture also both. So now here, previously here, the previous architecture, let me explain. If you want to get some data, then what needs to be done? So now we have to prepare your own Apex classes. Because Apex classes can interact with your Salesforce objects. I will explain that both the architectures over here, the old one and the new one. Now, so now here we are using your Apex classes. That means Apex controllers. Now, in this case, what happened? These Apex classes are going to be interacting with your database objects. It may be to insert the records, it may be to update the record. It is going to be interacting with this Salesforce objects over here. So, in order to interact with your Salesforce objects, we are using the help of Apex classes. Now, to invoke this Apex class, directly we can't invoke from the Lightning Web Component. For that one, what we are doing, we are preparing a JavaScript controller, because we know we have two types of controller: client side, server side. Here, okay, client side, server side. So now here we are using this JavaScript controller. JavaScript controller. We are using this JavaScript controller here. Through this JavaScript controller, we are going to be interacting with this. Now the Lightning component is going to be interacting with the JavaScript controller. And then JavaScript controller is going to be interacting with your Apex classes over here. Now, in this case, it will be interacting with your Salesforce objects. Now, let me explain. Now, it will be interacting with your Apex classes. Now, so now here we are having this. Now, let's see. So now the bidirectional communication will be available over here. There is a bidirectional communication. Now, so in this case, what happened? We are having this JavaScript controller. JavaScript controller is interacting with your Apex class. Apex class is connecting to the database. It will be performing some operations on the database. It will be insertion or updation or deletion or fetching the data, whatever. And then Apex class will return the data back to the JavaScript controller. Now the JavaScript controller is going to be representing these records on to the Lightning Web Component here. This is the typical architecture which we used to follow here, which is the old one. But now, so I would like to reduce these components here. Now this JavaScript code we have to write separately. Apex classes we have to prepare separately here. So the coding part will be increasing. The coding part will be getting increasing. So to avoid this kind of problems here, to avoid this problem, to reduce this number of lines of code, to reduce the complexity in the architecture, Salesforce people has introduced the Lightning data services. Here, instead of using this JavaScript controller, we no need to write any JavaScript controller. Just we can able to use this Lightning data services. Lightning Data Services. That means LDS. We are using the help of this LDS. Now this how this LDS is interacting with your database. For that one, it is not, we no need to prepare any Apex classes here. As part of this Salesforce people has introduced a framework. Okay, Salesforce people has introduced a framework over here. Okay, they have prepared a set of ready-made classes. Now, that is called as user interface API. User interface API. So user interface API is a ready-made API. It's a ready-made set of classes given by Salesforce by default, which can connect with your Salesforce objects. So this user interface API, we can able to access from your Lightning Web Component also, Aura component also, from the mobile applications also, from anywhere, wherever you want, we can use it directly. We no need to prepare any Apex classes. We no need to write any additional JavaScript. Just with the help of this LDS feature itself, we can connect to that database objects through with the help of user interface API. So Lightning Data Service will be interacting with your Salesforce objects with the help of user interface API, so which has been built by Salesforce, which is so that they can able to connect to that Salesforce objects from any component also, from any external systems also they can connect. From mobile device also, they can use user interface API. They can connect to the Salesforce object. They can directly interact with that. They can perform all the operations. So that those records they can show on the mobile devices. So for that reason, they're reducing the coding, okay? They're reducing the coding so that we can reduce that complexity in the application, so we can make our application development faster. If the number of lines of code is reduced, that means if most of the operations, most of the stuff will be doing by the framework for you. So as a developer, we no need to write much lines of code. We no need to take care of all these activities. Everything will be taken care of by that framework itself, so that the burden will be reduced on the developers also. The coding part will be getting reduced. Application development will be getting faster, and then we can reduce that budget also, and we can make our application performance faster, because we are not writing much lines of code. No need to compile, no need to execute, no need to wait for some more time to execute that application. It will be executing very fastly for you. This is the internal architecture of Lightning Data Services. This is the traditional approach here, because this is the traditional approach. So this is the traditional approach over here, and this is the Lightning Data Services. Lightning Data Services. So from your Lightning component, and then we can use the help of this Lightning Data Services, and through this Lightning Data Services, we can able to interact with your Salesforce objects with the help of user interface API. Okay, now this is how the Lightning Data Service will work internally. Now, so now sometimes in the interview point of view, if there is a question how this Lightning Data Service will be interacting with your Salesforce object, then you can say Lightning Data Service will be interacting with your Salesforce object through user interface API. Okay, this is one thing. Next, let me explain. So one more, okay, major benefit of Lightning Data Service. Suppose, for example, assume that through this Lightning Web Component, okay, I have queried one record. So I have used the help of this Lightning Data Service. Now I have collected one record from my Salesforce object. The record will be collected by the Lightning Data Service, and then what it will do is it will place the records inside your cache, inside your client side, that means in the browser side. You will be having the cache memory. Okay, cache memory. You will be having the cache. Now it will store the record inside that cache memory. Suppose if you are keep on requesting for the same record, then instead of going to the database server, simply it will go to the cache, and from that cache it will load the record for you over. It will load the record for you. That means what? It will reduce the number of server trips, because it is maintaining the cache management. It is maintaining the cache management. So whatever the Lightning components are available on the page, if the Lightning components are requesting for the same record again and again and again, then it won't go to the database always. It won't go to the database every time. Simply it will collect the records first time, it will place inside the cache memory, and whenever the components are requesting for the same record the multiple times, then it will be interacting with that cache memory. From the cache memory it will fetch those records as well. This is one of the major benefits that we have in Lightning Data Services. Now, so it is going to be maintaining the caches over here, okay, on the client side. Okay, not at the server side, only at the client side over here, because it will reduce the number of server trips also. This is also one of the major benefit that we have in Lightning Data Services. So now here in this case, the seventh one, it stored the result records inside the cache memory so that we can reduce the number of server trips. Okay, now next one. So now whenever if any of this component has modified this value inside that cache, that means that will be reflecting in the cache. From the cache, it will be reflecting in all the other components automatically. That means if you are making the changes in one place, then the same new values will be reflecting in all the other places of your components over here. Not only in that component, in other places also it will be getting reflected automatically. Okay, now, so whenever if you want to query the data from your Salesforce objects, if you want to perform the operations on your Salesforce, okay, data and the metadata. So metadata means what? Your functionalities also. If you're making any changes, then we can go with the help of Lightning Data Services. These are few benefits are available as part of Lightning Data Services. Then how can we implement? How to use this Lightning Data Services? Lightning Data Services can be used in two ways. Okay, Lightning Data Services can be used in two ways. One is farm based, second one programming based. Okay, one is farm based, second one programming based. Then what exactly farm based, what exactly programming based, how to use, we'll see. Today we'll see the farm based, how to do that. Now, while implementing this Lightning Data Services, we can use either farm based and then programming based. Programming based in the sense that through JavaScript also we can fetch the records from the object and then we can represent on your Lightning Web Component and we can do some operations. We can commit the changes back to the database without using any Apex classes. Without using any Apex classes. Till now, previously, what happened to get the records here? In the previous component, what we did to get the data from that object here, we have written some Apex class first. Already told you here. See, in the previous component, to get the records from the object to represent over in the form of tabular format, we are writing one Apex class first. See, this is Apex class we have written, and then through this Apex class, we have prepared one SQL query, and then we have collected the data. Now to invoke this particular class, we have used one JavaScript. Okay, this is a code which we have implemented. We are invoking that method over here, and then that data we are representing on my Lightning component. Okay, by using this Lightning data table over here, I have used this one. So instead of doing that much of stuff, okay, we can reduce this stuff also. We can avoid this complete Apex programming part, Here, instead of using this general regular JavaScript, we can use this Lightning data service related features. So just we can reduce this part of code as well here. So through programming also we can do. In the programming also, I don't want to use any Apex class here. Without using any Apex class, through programming also, I would like to fetch the records from the object as well, because this is a method here, set check cases by status method. But as part of user interface API, Salesforce has given some ready-made methods. We can use those methods also. Simply in one word, I can say this is like as a standard controller in your Visual Force. It is like as standard controller. Instead of using custom controller, instead of using extension classes, just we can use some standard ready-made methods available inside your each class, so that we are using that standard controller in Visual Force. Like the similar fashion, instead of writing our own custom methods, we are going to be using the help of the standard methods given by Salesforce as part of LDS. Now, so in this case here, how to implement this one? Now, let me go to Notepad. While referencing Lightning data services inside the Lightning Web Component, we have the below two ways. We can reference the Lightning data services by using ready-made components, to get the records, to view the records, to create records, and to edit records. Now, so now in this case here, so by using this approach, we can able to get the records, okay, from the Salesforce object, and then we can able to view the record also, and we can able to represent the record on your Lightning Web Component, and then we can able to modify the record values also. This is one case that is called as form based. Second one, programming based. Here we can reference user interface API methods. To perform get, insert, update, view, and delete records from Salesforce objects. Okay, so directly we can use, that means we can call some ready-made user interface APIs also. How to invoke this ready-made user interface APIs, we'll see practically as well. Okay, first we'll go with that form based, second one programming based here. As part of this form based, whenever if you want to represent your Salesforce object records on your Lightning component, we are using this. Okay, three components are available here. Okay, three ready-made components. That means three ready-made tags. Because in generally in Visual Force, we are calling them as a tag. But in Salesforce, as part of Lightning, each and every tag will be referred as a component. Now, so LWC provides the below three components to be used to insert, update, view, and get records from Salesforce objects. The first one, we are having this, the record form, that is called as Lightning record form. Second one, lightning record view form, and the third one, lightning record edit form. These are the three tags will be available over here. Okay, we have three ready-made components are available over here. Now, lightning record form, lightning record view form, and the lightning record edit form. Now, three tags are available ready-madely for you. Then how can we use them? Okay, we'll see. Each and every tag I will show you practically as well here. How can we implement? I will show you practically as well. Now, the first one, lightning record form. Second one, lightning record view form. And third one, lightning record edit form. So these are the three inbuilt components are available in Salesforce, which is used to view the records, to edit the records, to get the records from your Salesforce objects, without writing any code, without using any code here. Now, so in this case here, what exactly it is? What exactly each and every component here? Now let's see practically in this case. Now let's see in this case here. So how can we do that? Okay, now let's see practically here. So now let's see how can we do that. Now, so basically we have these three ready-made components are available. Okay, lightning record form, lightning record view form, lightning record edit form. So basically the lightning record form is used to get the records from the object, and then we can create some records, we can update some single records also. Because these three are used to perform the operations on one single record only, not on multiple. Okay. Now, so in this case here, by using this lightning record form, we can able to fetch the record from the object here, and then we can create a record. We can update the record inside your object. Now, lightning record view form. Now this is only for view. Okay, only for view, just to view the record over here. So we can fetch a record from the object here, and then we can represent the record in read-only format. Okay, in the read-only format here, we can represent the record like as a detail page. Okay, like as a detail page. We can't modify the records here. Okay, we can't modify the records. So only for the read-only purpose we are using. Now the record edit form. Then what exactly the record edit form here? Now this particular component is used to create or update a record here. In order to create the record, in order to update the record, we are using the help of this record edit form here. Now, whenever if you want to fetch the record, first of all, we'll see the lightning record form here. Okay. So now whenever if you want to use this lightning record form is used to fetch the record from the Salesforce object, and then we can represent, and then we can able to create some new record also, and then we can update the record also inside your object. That facility is available. So whenever if you want to fetch the record, then we require some record ID, right? Yes. For which object you want to fetch the record, we have to indicate. That means That means we have to indicate from what object we would like to fetch the records. We have to specify over here. Now, let's see in this case here. Okay, let's see in this case. How can we do that? Now, first of all, we have to know how to get the record ID. Okay, now how to get the record ID. Okay, now let's see practically over here. First of all, let me show. Let me take a small component. Okay, how to get the current record ID and the API name of the object. Okay, we'll see practically here. Now, so as part of Salesforce, we have two public variables are available. This is also called as two public properties in JavaScript. And JavaScript public properties are available here. Now, let me explain that here. Make a note. JavaScript provides the below two public properties as below. First one, @API record ID. You know, @API means what? Whenever we are defining this property as @API, which is a public, it's a public property. If it is @track, that will be private property. Now, in this case here, @API is nothing but, so it's a public property which will be making this particular variable or the property or the function will make it as a public, which can be accessible within the component and from the parent components also. Now, so record ID is a standard variable here. It's a standard property given by Salesforce, which will hold the current record ID automatically. Now, this property holds the current record ID. The current record ID. Second one, @API object API name. It's a second property here. This is also public property, which will hold the current records object name. For example, I'm having a record. Now this record belongs to which object? That object name will be storing inside this property object API name. So this is also a public property because we are defining this property with the decorator @API. @API decorator is going to be indicating this particular property is a public property, so which can be accessible within the component and from parent components also. That means from any other components also we can reference. Okay, that is a functionality of @API decorator. Now, so in this case, these are the two standard properties are available in JavaScript. Now, this property holds the current object with the current record object name. Current record objects name. Okay, current record objects name. Now, so now whatever the record right now that we have, this record is belongs to which object here? So then how can we reference here? Now let's see. Let me show you with the practical. So now how to collect that current record ID and then how to get the object name. Okay, now let me show you practically in this case. Now, let me show you. Use case. Because we no need to get the current record ID here. This will be storing automatically in this record ID property here. Now, design a Lightning Web Component to fetch the current records ID and object name and represent on the component. Here. Now, then how can we do that? Now let me show you practically. Let me go to my VS Code. I'm preparing a Lightning Web Component now. Go to the command palette, create a Lightning Web Component. I'm indicating show current record details. I'm giving this a show current record details component. Now select the default directory over here. Now my component is ready. So current record details component. Okay, just you can specify here. Define a property at the rate API record ID. Okay, record ID. So now whenever we are using this at the rate API decorator, we have to import this API decorator also. So go to the import statement along with lightning element. I would like to import API decorator also. Now, second one at the rate API object API name. Object API name. We no need to pass any value over here. Just we can define them. Okay, just we can define them. Automatically, Salesforce will pick the value of the current record. That means where exactly we're placing this component, that current records ID and the object API name will collect that. Now, it will store into this particular properties. Now I want to represent them on my Lightning component. So let me go to my Lightning component. I'm using a Lightning card. Lightning card, I'm indicating the title. Title equals to current record details. Now I'm indicating icon name, standard, or anything here. Standard account. Here I would like to represent that. Current record ID is, I would like to show. Record ID. That's it. Whatever the property that we defined. I'm giving a break tag. Current record object name. I would like to represent object API. That's it. Done. So whatever the two properties that we have defined, now these two property names I'm representing on my Lightning component here. Okay, this is the places I'm representing. So just we can define them. We no need to do any other stuff. We no need to place that record ID. We no need to hardcode the values and nothing. Directly it will be collecting that. Wherever this particular component is getting placed, that current records ID it will pick up. It will collect that object name also automatically by Salesforce. Now, I want to represent this component, okay, on the record edit page as well, so that exposed equals to true. I'm indicating the targets. I'm indicating target Lightning record page. Target Lightning app page. Target Lightning home page. Now let's see. Now, so now let me save this code. Let me save the HTML code also. It's template code. Now I want to represent this component inside my Lightning application. Let me go to my arc. Go to that open default arc. Go to that sales application. For example, I'm going to my lead object over here. Place any of the lead record here. Okay, we don't have any lead records available as of now. So let me go to my case object. Let me check, do we have any case records? Yes, I'm having some case records. Let me go to this. Now here I would like to place one tab over here. Here I would like to place one more tab. Click on this edit page. If you want to show that component here itself, then you can place. Okay, now this is the component. Show current recorded details component over here. I'm placing over here. Okay, now Let's save it. Click on activate. It should be visible for all the applications also. Let's save. Go back here, go to that case record. Now let's see. See, now it is indicating the current record ID is, this is the ID of that case record. Current case record ID. The current record object name is case. That means this is a case object over here. For example, here, I'm opening one more case record, second one, 1026. Now it is indicating this particular current case record ID. It is indicating the object name. This particular record is belongs to the case object here. Now, when you go to my account over here, whenever I'm placing this, let me place that here. Edit page. I want to place that same component. This is the component, show current record details. I'm placing this component here. Now let's save it. Go back. Let's see that account record. See, we can see current object ID is, this is the ID of the record. And then this is the object name is account. That means it's like as a generic component here. In order to know what is the ID of the record and what is the name of that object, okay, to which this record is associated, to get those details, we are using the help of this record ID and then object API name properties. These are the two public properties given by JavaScript. Now, so whenever we are having a record, that record ID will be storing inside this record ID property, and whatever the record object name is available, that object name will store inside this object API name. These are the two standard properties. That means two reserved variables. Simply we can say reserved variables. Okay, these are the two reserved, the standard properties that we have in JavaScript, which will hold the current record ID and the object's API name. Okay, this is how we can able to fetch the record ID and the object ID here. Just we are fetching this record ID's information. Then how to represent the records, you will see by using this various tags. Okay, now let me place this. I'm indicating JavaScript code. HTML5. And the HTML metadata file. Meta XML and the metadata file. This is the way. Now, so in order to get the current record ID and the object name, these are the two standard properties which we are using in Lightning Web Component. Now, next one. Suppose, for example, I have a record ID with me. Based on that ID, I want to represent the record, okay, on my Lightning component over here. Okay, on my Lightning Web Component, I want to represent the record here. In order to represent the record, in order to display the record, we are using the help of a component called as Lightning record form. Lightning record form. Then how to use this Lightning record form? Now let's see. Lightning record form. So what exactly the Lightning record form? Then how can we represent that record? Okay, now let's see. Basically, Lightning record form is used to fetch the record from the object, and we can able to represent the record, and then we can represent, we can create a new record also, we can update a record inside your Salesforce object as well. That facility is available here. Now, so in this case, how can we do this? Okay, how to do this? Okay, now let's see practically what are the various properties are available. Okay, now let's see over here. Now, so now let's see what are the various properties are available over here as part of this Lightning Data Services. Now, by using this component, we can fetch the records from the object and we can represent the detailed information of the record, and we can create new records into the object, and we can update the existing records to the object. Then how can we do this here? Okay, now let's see practically. Now, as part of this Lightning, okay, record form, we are having few properties are available. Okay, we have few properties are available. So what are the properties are available over here? Okay, now let's see. It's like as okay, edit layout and the detail layout over here. Okay, edit layout and detail layout over here. So now we can specify, because previously when you go to that our Visual Force, we are using some standard overriding the standard buttons. Upon click on that new button, don't display the standard page for me. Please display my own custom page which I have designed. So like that here we can override. Instead of using this standard okay page layout given by Salesforce, we can override that by using your own Lightning components also. That facility is available over here. Now, so now here in this case here, what are the various properties are available okay, as part of this okay, Lightning okay, record form. Now let's see. In this case, it is having the properties. First one, record ID property. Okay, record ID property over here. So now we have to supply. We have to now we have to specify the object API name. Based on this object API name only, we can able to okay, recognize that record, and that means object, and based on the object, it will fit the respective page layout. It will represent the records over here. Now we have to pass the object API name to represent the page. That means to represent the fields on the component automatically. Next, third one here. Third one is layout type. Layout type. Here we are having two options available: compact or full. Okay, compact or full. So now here, whenever we are creating the record inside the object, all the fields I want to show. Okay, all the fields I want to show. Like for example, when you go to a record, this is called as a compact layout. It is a compact layout which will display only some values over here. It won't display all the fields of your records. It will show only few fields. So that is called as compact layout over here. So now you want to show only those fields or you want to show the full fields. That means all the fields available inside my object. For that one, we are having an option called as that is compact or full. Now, these are the two options are available here. So now in this case here, it represents which layout should be used to represent the recorded details. Recorded details. Now, while creating a new record, we have to use always layout type as full. All the fields has to be get visible over here. Now, next one. After that, we have to specify that. Next property is mode property. Okay, mode property. Here we can specify that option C, either edit or view. So now here this mode is going to be indicating here what type of view you want to represent. Okay, you want to make it as editable. That means whatever the fields are available, those fields will be visible to you in the editable format, or you want to show like as a detail. Now like this, suppose for example, so now this is in editable format here. Always these are editable format over here, directly editable. Like for example, when you go to that case, for example, open the record and then here we can see, go to this record, see, these are in the view format. That means just we can see if you want to make some changes, then double click on the field and then we can make the changes here, because that will be moving to editable format. So now you want me to show the record in detail format or editable format, both depends upon your requirement. You can specify view. So now in this case the view represents, now it represents the fields on the component in detail format. Now edit. It represents the fields in editable format by default. Editable format by default. Next, columns. So now we have to specify the columns property here to indicate how many number of columns you want to arrange the fields. Either one column, two columns, three columns. We can specify how many number of columns you want to arrange the fields over here. So we can specify. Now, to represent the number of columns to be used to arrange the fields. Arrange the fields. 6 to 1, we can use fields property. Fields property, an array. Array of fields. If you want to show only some specific fields, we can specify to represent the required fields to be visible on the component. Now that means on this layout over here. Now, so now what fields to be get visible to the people on that component, we can specify that. Depends upon your requirement. Now, let's see in this case. So these are the various of fields are available here. So now let's see how can we represent this. Okay, now let me show you practically. Now these are the properties are available. Depends upon your requirement, we can specify these properties. And along with that, here, if you want to perform some operations, if you want to show some message, then we can use that some events also here. Some other properties are also available, like as on submit, on success. Okay, then we can do that here. Depends upon your requirement here. Now, now here we can specify on submit. Here we can specify the method, JavaScript method. Now to invoke JavaScript controller to be used to perform the operations. Upon click on save. And then we have on success. We can specify the JavaScript method. Now, to invoke the JavaScript method, once the operation has been success, on error, we can specify the JavaScript method. To invoke the JavaScript method, if the operation has been failed. So these are the various methods, properties are available as part of this record form. Now, let's see how can we use this. Okay, now let's see practically here. So now my requirement is I would like to design a small lightning component, okay, which is used to represent the current recorded details over here. Now let me show you with the practical. Take a small use case. Design a lightning web component to represent the recorded detailed information. Detailed information. Now, I would like to do that. How can we do? Okay, now let me show you practically. So first of all, we have to define the two properties, record ID and the object API name. Both we would like to represent here. Now here I'm indicating a new component. Create a lightning web component. Show recorded details component. Show recorded details component. Now, so now which record details you would like to represent the current recorded details. To get the current record ID, I'm using @API. Now the record ID, property @API object API name. So now here I'm using this @API decorator so that we have to import that decorator also. I'm indicating API. So now up to this part we are done. I'm collecting the current record ID and then object API. So based on this record ID, I want to design that record here on my lightning web component. So let's create a lightning card. Lightning card. I'm indicating the card title equals to account record or accounts manager. Accounts manager, I would like to indicate this details, and the icon name equals to standard account. Here I would like to represent the record information. How to design the record? For that one, I would like to represent. This record ID is available over here. Automatically, the current record ID will fetch. Based on this record ID, I would like to represent my record details over here inside my record form. So let's see how can we do that. I'm using this record form. That means lightning record form. Lightning record form. We have to specify the property values. The first one is I would like to specify the record ID. Record ID is already there inside my variable over here. That is property. That is record ID property. And then object API name. We have to pass the object API name. That is also already we have captured inside a property object API name. And then here we can specify the layout type. Layout type equals to, I would like to indicate full. Okay, full layout. And then mode equals to view mode here. Okay, view mode. Now the number of columns to arrange the fields equals to 2. In 2 columns I want to arrange. That's it. Done. We no need to do. So in this case, what will happen? It will go to that current object here, that is account. For that account, what page layouts are available? It will go to the page layout. It will collect the records here. It will collect the fields. Those fields will be getting visible on this Lightning Web Component automatically. Simple. Now, simply in one word, I can say this is like as a detail tag in your Visual Force. In Visual Force, we are having detail tag. That's it. Simple concept. Now, so now here, whatever the record ID we have captured, the current record ID I'm passing over here. I'm passing this object API name also. I'm passing the layout type. The mode should be view and the columns equals to 2. Okay, now let's see. Let me go to this metadata XML file, and then I would like to indicate is exposed equals to true, and I'm indicating the targets. Target Lightning record page. Now here I would like to represent this component on the record page here. Now let's see how can we do that. Let's go to your component and then go to the accounts. So now click on edit page. Sorry, open the record. Click on edit page. I want to place that component over here. Where you want to show here, I would like to indicate here. I am going to be indicating my one. So now just you can able to go to this tab. Okay, now I'm removing this. Here I'm going to placing my component. Where is my component? This is a component here. Show record details component. This is a component which we have prepared. Show record details. I'm placing over here. Now save this. Activation. For all the applications also I want to make it visible here. Save. So I have placed this component over here. When you go to the record, we can see the complete details here. See, whatever the fields are available, all the fields will be getting visible over here. This is my component which we are using in order to represent the recorded data. Now here observe this one. Suppose for example, if I'm changing this a phone number value over here. Okay, if I'm changing a phone number value from all 7 to all 9s. Okay, now here we can view, we can edit the record also. So now here, whenever I'm going to be updating this, whenever you are going to be updating this phone number, the same will be getting reflecting in the other components also on your page. This is one component here. This is another component. If I'm making the changes in one place, it will reflect in other components also here automatically. Now click on Save button. Now the data has been updated here. The same thing has been reflected here also. But observe this one. Here it won't show any, okay, toast messages. Whenever we are updating the records, creating the records, a green color toast message will be visible. But here it won't show any toast messages. Let's see. So now here I'm changing this a type value. Whenever I'm typing of changing this a type value, click on this edit. Change this a type value as some customer channel. Now let's save this. Now here it is updated the record, but it is not showing any toast messages. If you want to show the toast messages, then we have to write your own code. How? Let me show you. Just go to your HTML and then component also. Here we have to specify on success. On success here, I would like to call a method. Now, handle success. Handle success. Now let me add this method over here. Handle success. I'm writing this piece of code. I want to show the toast message. For that one, we have to import that. Import show toast event. Show toast event from lightning platform show toast event. Show toast event. So now here I'm going to be creating the constant variable here. Constant show success toast equals to new show toast event. Here we have to specify the title. Title I'm indicating as success. Specify the message. Record updated successfully. Record updated successfully. And then I'm indicating this mode. Mode will be dismissible. And then I would like to specify the variant. The variant we have to specify success. And then we have to dispatch this event. This dot dispatch event show success toast. That's it. So we have to write some additional code. So whatever the operations, if you want to show any toast messages once the record has been updated successfully, then we have to write your own additional code over here. Okay, it won't provide that success toast messages because it's our own component, right? It won't provide that functionality. Now let's see. Let's refresh this page now. Now let's try to modify the record now. Observe this one. I'm changing this rating value here from rating warm to hot. Now click on save. See. So let me check it out. What is the issue? And success equals to handle success. No, so we have to enclose this, right? Now let's save this. Now let me run this page. Now refresh this. Now I'm changing this rating value. I'm changing this rating value from hot to warm. Now click on save. Now the record has been updated. It is showing this post message. Yes, show record updated successfully. We have to provide these additional functionalities depends upon your requirement over here. Okay, so that by using this record form, we can able to show the record values also. Based on the current record, we can able to fetch the record details, and then we can able to represent the record detailed information. Suppose, for example, if I'm indicating this, okay, mode equals to edit. Okay, edit. Let's see. The record fields will be in editable formats by default. It will show the fields in editable format. Let's see. Refresh this user interface now. Now let's see. See, all the fields are in editable format over here. Directly, these are in editable format over here. We no need to click on the edit button to modify this. The records are in editable format over here, and then we can make the changes whatever you want. And then whenever you are performing this operation, update the record also. Now it will be giving that message to you. Record updated successfully. Now suppose, for example, here I'm indicating this component should be in read format here. Okay, only view. So now here, if you want to specify read only format here, you can specify read only. Mode equals to read only. Then it will display only in the read only format. You can't modify the record. Now let's see. Refresh this user interface. Now let's see. So now the record is purely in the read only format, no editable formats. We can't make any changes over here. Okay, we can't make any changes. The record is purely in editable read only format. So depends upon your requirement, we can specify here. So now the mode we can specify edit, view, or read only. Now the layout type, I'm indicating now the compact layout here. Instead of full, I'm indicating compact. Okay, compact layout. Because we're checking with all these options. Refresh this user interface. Now we are able to see only some basic fields of your object over here, not all the fields. Now instead of showing these values over here, the compact details will be getting visible over here. So now in the compact, it won't show anything over here, just it will be representing here itself. Now, suppose if you want to arrange the fields in 3 columns here, then we can specify that full fields, that means full layout, number of columns should be 3. So we can specify columns equals to 3. I want to show in view format here. Check with all the combinations over here. This is how we are going to be designing the detail page, generally in Visual Force. Now refresh this user interface. Let's see. Now we can see your compact details also. The records are visible and the fields will be arranging in 3 columns over here. Depends upon your requirement. We can indicate in how many columns you want to arrange the fields. We can define that. So depends upon your requirement. We can do this. This is the way we can able to do that. If you want to modify the record, you can modify, but here it won't show the button. When you modify any of that here, when you click on this edit button, then you will be getting 2 buttons over here, cancel and save. 2 buttons will be visible to you. Depends upon your requirement, we can make the changes also. This is how we can use the record form in order to represent the record details on your Lightning Web Component. Okay, this is the way we are using this. Next. So in the next session, we'll see how can we use a record view form, record edit form, and then programmatically how to insert, how to update, and then delete the records. We'll see in the next session here. And the next Saturday, we'll be having this session again, and then we'll see that remaining functionalities. And then by next week, we most probably will be closing the sessions over here. because we're having this LDS, and then I will show you that how to create our own events also. That's it. With that one, we'll complete this process. Now, let me place this. Now represent the custom post messages for performance. Now, HTML file, and the JavaScript metadata file. Let me place this JavaScript code. Metadata file. Now, this is the way. Okay, now. So do the practice on this one. In the next weekend, we'll be discussing about this some more functionalities so that we can close it off. Thank you.